a cast of 6,000, 128,000 spectators, including 15,000 VIPs, over 622 journalists generating 11,500 articles worldwide. I'm talking about the Battle of Waterloo Bicentenary Commemoration, winner of the European Best Event Award 2015. An insight in what this event made so special. Hi Annemie, Vincian, welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Congratulations with your award, quite
you.
an achievement. Why was this event so special?
Well, I think it's special because of the topic. It's a topic that triggers many people's fantasy, and many people think about Waterloo and Napoleon, and worldwide it rings a bell somewhere, being from history books or from hearing stories about it.
But maybe to start with, let's look at a fragment.
Yeah, please do.
Early 2014, this peaceful landscape is the historic site of the Battle of Waterloo. 18 months from now, these fields will stage the bicentenary commemoration. 200,000 guests will gather from all over the world to enjoy the largest reenactment ever staged in Europe. This unprecedented event will be delivered by a team of 3,000 and some 6,000 reenactors who will camp here for 3 days. To complete the experience, there will be an inaugural cultural event entitled Inferno, directed by Luc Petit. This gigantic project required a high degree of creativity and innovation in order to fulfill 3 ambitions, all of which push the boundaries of the initial client briefing: transform traditional reenactments into shows for a much larger and new audience, persuade the authorities to present a world-class artistic event instead of a mere fireworks display, deploy the necessary solutions to install a temporary infrastructure to host 50,000 guests per night who will attend a show casting more than 6,000 in full military equipment, and all of this in the middle of a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. Absorbing the risk for the client by proposing a set fee, taking over the production of the event and hence engineering a robust financial plan, working hand in hand with 4 different local authorities for the approval of plans, security and mobility, designing an integrated and international campaign, innovating technology with the creation of an interactive map system to manage the mobility and access, managing the commercial operation of ticket sales, and finally, designing an implementation plan that could overcome the many restrictions imposed by the location. We consistently overachieved, a flawless execution, meeting all of the challenges, including the issue of a saturated road network, which was overcome thanks to the high performance of our mobility strategy. And finally, coping with the success of the campaign, which resulted in deciding to increase capacity. So, 200 years on, it was a victory for all concerned. And this success will continue, as visitors will return to the region and contribute to its economic development.
That looks impressive. So big numbers, logistically, that must have been quite a big challenge.
Yeah, it was really a big challenge. Just imagine a battlefield of 52 hectares.
Yeah.
But it's not only just a battlefield, it's also a World UNESCO Heritage battlefield. So and there was nothing. So we had really to put everything there. So we had 24 tribunes for 50,000 guests coming every night. And also, it's not that you could just arrive like with the normal trucks. We really needed to put a road made of 25,000 metal plates. So it was amazing. And then above that, we had our production village. It's also all containers. We had a VIP 60,000 square meters of tents. So just in a place where you had nothing in the beginning. So yeah, it was quite.
You had to build everything
from scratch, and we had to take everything away
afterwards,
knowing that the fields had to be intact afterwards. So no,
because of its UNESCO heritage,
and on top of it's the terrain itself. It's property of farmers, and they have to be able to cultivate the season later, I don't know, potatoes or whatever, corn or
but no garbage.
But no garbage, indeed. And it is UNESCO protected on top of that, yeah.
Okay. More than 6,000 reenactors?
Yeah.
Those are actors, or how do I have to see that?
The reenactors we had on the battlefields were people who were presented their candidature, and they are all members, they had to be all members of associations, military or reenactment associations. We had almost...
I didn't know there were.
Yeah, there are many of them. There are many of them. And those who can participate in reenactments of the Napoleonic era, had to be either from the Allied forces, being the German, Dutch, and English Great Britain forces, or from the French forces, of course, for Napoleon. Yep. And they had to bring in their candidature online with a whole CV that had to be selected. And we had almost 8,000 candidates, from which we selected 5,000 military reenactors and a bit more than 1,000 to 100 civilian reenactors.
And everybody wanted to be Napoleon.
Yes, many people wanted to be Napoleon, but they have to, even to be Napoleon, you had to put in your candidature. And we had two worldwide. There used to be 3 persons that were allowed to be Napoleon, and the 2 major persons had to put in
to have a combat.
The selection committee had the candidatures of both, and they selected the French person to be Napoleon.
Okay, but so many people on what's not actually a stage. No. How do you make sure everybody's on the right place at the right moment and get a thing like that working?
But logistically, it's
well, just imagine also, it's not like a normal show where you have rehearsals. Here, you have no rehearsals. Because also they are all part of a regiment, and they all have their orders. So they make some rehearsals just in their just regiment. So you had all the bivouacs also, and they all had their space. And there you could see when you were a visitor, you could see, there's something happening, and they were just training in the bivouacs. But military then when they are on the battlefield, they only follow their orders. So in fact, it cannot be bad as well.
So it was also for you a surprise to see what
and how seriously they take it, because indeed, as Vincent says, the bivouacs were the encampments where all the military people were sleeping and slept in the exact conditions that the 200 years ago the soldiers and the officers were also sleeping and eating and taking care of their material and training and taking care of their animals, the horses, for instance, and maintaining their weapons. And the training of the military movements and the attacks and stuff were all trained in the encampments, and the people could visit the encampments and see, as if you were walking through history, how people lived 200 years ago during a military or a war, actually. Yeah.
On top of that, there were over 622 international journalists on the site.
We had enormous an amount of requests for press, and we were very happy that we had the support of the WBT, the Walloon-Brussels Tourism Office, who helped us get in touch with European and even international press that was also interested in coming over from the States to China, from New Zealand to Australia to French and Dutch and German press.
Yeah, 11,500 articles written. Yeah. If you try
online
to achieve that with another event, maybe the Olympics, but
might be difficult. But
Olympics it is Olympics probably twice that amount. But indeed, it's Waterloo and Napoleon are 2 very, very topics which are inspiring people, and people want to know more about it. And it's 2 words that are critical to our European history and worldwide history, because due to the Waterloo defeat of Napoleon Waterloo, the European map was redesigned, and the basics of what Europe is now was decided in that period.
Yeah. The funny thing is, everyone is talking about Napoleon, but in fact, everyone remembers Napoleon who lost the battle, and the Duke of Wellington. The people sometimes they're like, who is the Duke of Wellington? But no, really, Duke of Wellington won. So that's a little story.
But that's also important. You have the battle. But then a lot of viewers who don't know anything about the battle, how do you make sure they understand what's happening on all those fields?
Well, apart from what happened on the field during the reenactments, a year in advance, we started up our Facebook page, our website, our Twitter account, our YouTube channel. So we activated all of these different social media to inform people and give them a taste of what life was like 200 years ago. A nice mixture of facts and figures, but also nice anecdotes and elements that could bring it back to life and make it more relevant also to today. We had, for instance, numerous topics about food and beverages. Many things we do now in our kitchen and in our households were existed before the Battle of Waterloo took place and before that period. So we had a mixture of recipes, of way of conserving food, for instance, how people during the war had to do it, and all these elements made it more relevant to people today.
But on the battlefield also, we had a commentator, and also so he was explaining the different movements and what happened and what we could see, and then people, you had part of the public who were really aficionados and they really knew everything about the story and they could just tell the story like the commentator. But then you had other persons that were totally not aware of what was happening, and that was quite interesting to have someone just telling like, okay, they move on the right side because they are doing this, or they move like this, and so that was quite easy for the guests.
Then you presented the case at the UBS. Why did you win the award, you think?
Because we were good.
Of course, but what made the event stand out over there?
I think the event combined a lot of different things. Not only the fact that we were just organizing an event, which was, in fact, the first tender was to organize the event. And we responded also by saying, okay, but we take also the risk.
Commercial and financial risk.
We are delegated producer, and that's quite different. And we had really the jury, for example, they said also one thing that was really important is that the fact that we took all the financial risk. So it was not just, okay, we do the event, but no, we will do everything from A to Z. So that was one important thing, and it was also 360 degrees. So all the different aspects were in this case.
Yep. And we were all, being VO Communication, being the lead agency, combined with Verhulst Event and Parties, which took care of the sponsorship and the VIP, and then Voice Agency and other suppliers. We all, during 1 year and a half, we were all constantly working together and bringing the same story.
And that mix really worked because there was nobody around that didn't knew about the events.
Really. And even the delegates, or I don't know how you call them, but all the other competitors, our competitors, they were really not really proud of us, but they were like, okay, that's great. Your event was great. I would love to organize an event like this one day.
But
so
you can't do that every year, of course.
No,
we could in 50 years, but we will not be there anymore.
True. We could try to visit or be a guest on the 300 or the 250th anniversary in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Congratulations again, and thank you for coming over.
Thank
you very much.
And you at home, thank you for watching our show. I hope to see you next week.